It's the HoopWise podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Hello and welcome back to the HoopWise podcast. I'm Steve Hewitt, as always, joined by Ethan Fuller. We're finally in studio again. I feel like it's been a little bit since we're in studio.
Because we're out and about too much.
We are. I can speak for me at least. Feel like I'm at like 4 or 5 games a week and driving my car around New England in some of these brutal temperatures.
Yep.
But we are out here. We're finally in studio. We're in the home stretch of the NEPSAC season. Ethan, how are we feeling with we're about 2 weeks away here from Selection Sunday. We're going to call it Selection Sunday for NEPSAC, right?
Okay.
How are we feeling with 2 weeks left? That most of these teams have 4 or 5 games left and ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I feel like every time I have a sense of what I expect out of the playoffs and the playoff teams, there's another curveball thrown at me. We're going to get into some of those, but that's good. Like, no stakes for me. I love seeing chaos. So there's plenty of chaos in the
give me all the chaos.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
I love chaos.
But yeah, great. It's been a great, really, really great winter. Lot of great teams and teams that have surprised me. Same with players too. So I expect more of that in a single elimination tournament that lasts of 4 or 5 days. So it's going to be crazy, and I am excited for it.
Yeah. In this episode, we're going to quickly rifle through kind of where we're at right now with the NEPSAC girls season and kind of look ahead to maybe what those brackets are going to look like. We recorded another podcast you can find about NEPSAC boys, and we're going to have some MIAA previews coming up in the coming weeks.
We're back on our preview grind.
Yeah, it's back to the previews. There's just so much basketball coming in the next few weeks, and with that, a ton of coverage and podcasts and analysis, and eventually some predictions.
Yep.
Which can be some dangerous territory.
I love it. But I like the smoke, except when I'm wrong, then I don't like it. But
yeah,
it's okay.
But yeah, let's dive into the NEPSAC girls season. It's been a few weeks since we've really talked about what's going on. I know in AAA has been particularly interesting to me. It's kind of opened up a little bit over the last few weeks with some interesting results.
Yep.
And I'll let you take the floor of AAA, and we're gonna rifle through each class with some of the top storylines and teams and surprises that we've seen. But we'll start with AAA. I know the big three is still Nobles, Tabor, Tilton.
Yep.
But some interesting developments maybe over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. No, it's I think even again, kind of no shade to Tilton before this, but as great as I thought they were, I did kind of think this was a 2-horse race in this class with Nobles and Tabor, and they had done so well all season, and they split against each other, and those results were great. But Tilton last week gets a huge 57-48 win at home against Tabor. That was a matchup that I was really excited to see what would happen. I watched almost all of it on the live stream, and Tilton's defense, again, I watched Tilton. I think the week before that, they played a neutral site game at Rivers against Loomis Chaffee. Also, really, really high-powered matchup between those two great teams that are perennial contenders. And between those two games, Tilton's defense is, I would say, of those 3 teams, it is the best, and that is what kind of puts Tilton suddenly in this race. Is like they're not just a middle long shot title contender. They are right as worthy of a challenger as these other two, which is exciting. They have a ton of just versatility on their defense. You got wings like Hannah Lynch, Lindsay LeMay, Northeastern commit, Colleen Feary, who I think I talk about every 2 weeks because she's awesome and never gets the love that she deserves, and she's so good. Colgate commit, Colleen Feary.
We're going to give her the love now.
Yeah, I will continue to do it every time. Bella Kakuta, transfer guard, has been slowly getting better, and the Tabor game, I think, might have been her best in like the highest stakes game that she played. She had 20 points in that. just as we're going to talk about a couple of these elite NEPSAC shooters, but she is one of them where she just kind of can hit shots off movement and off balance, is a pull-up scorer herself in addition to being a great off-ball shot maker. I think she's 5'10" for a guard, so she's got good size, really, really great 26 guard who is coming along super well. And then I do want to shout out again on Tilton, because I don't even think I've included her as a standout yet. She's gotten into foul trouble a lot of the games that I've had, and that is a minor concern, but as an overall prospect, Brooke Golden is a fantastic center. She is 6'3", super, super athletic. She just got offered by Northwestern.
Oh, wow.
Just plays with such a great energy and intensity, and just makes a lot of unique plays that you don't see a lot of centers at the high school level making. And again, sometimes it goes overboard, gets in foul trouble a decent amount, at least when I watch the games. But when she is on the court, she is such an impact center for them. And so this has just been a really, really fun team. Maddie McCaffrey off the bench too, high motor, microwave scoring guard. Put Tilton right with Nobles and Tabor.
Yeah.
I think that win, especially, they have this reputation for peaking at the right time, and they are currently peaking at the right time. So I would definitely keep an eye out for Tilton. Hoosac and New Hampton too, right behind them. New Hampton was able to beat Tabor earlier in the season. They are really good. Again, I don't quite see the consistency with those two as I see with the top three, but they have the upside to beat any of those teams. I don't think any team has played Nobles tougher than Hoosac has all year, which is a big statement for them to make. And again, New Hampton with their star 26 players, Elise Ngenda and Serenity Lancaster, both just awesome players. So they're capable of beating anyone. Even Dexter Southfield, again, super young team. They've had these kind of radical ups and downs, but they beat Hoosac, and they can go out and beat some of these good teams and play I believe it was 1 point and 2 point losses to New Hampton. So don't sleep on Dexter Southfield. It's kind of a roller coaster with them, but they can be involved.
Yeah.
So long way. And St. Andrews too has a lot of experience. And I think that's going to really help them once we get to playoffs. So definitely. So that there's our full 7. I think I did that pretty quickly. So, Class AAA is going to be really fun. And you can put me on record as saying this is a legitimate 3-horse race now, with the potential for upsets in between there.
This could be more fun than maybe you expected with AAA. Because I feel like when we were going into the year, it was just really the Tabor Nobles talk, and some of these teams have shown that they can compete, maybe even if it's one night with New Hampton. But Tilton is obviously gone into that race, and this could be more fun than maybe you expected a couple months ago.
Yep. Yeah.
Sounds like.
It's and again, like I obviously, if it ends up being Noble and Tabor at the end, that's awesome, and I'll be psyched for that. But there are a lot of really, really good teams, and Tilton again, like being a finalist last year, they know how to do it. This roster is very experienced, so I would absolutely put them in that top tier for sure.
Yeah. Let's move on to AA.
Yeah. AAA is pretty easy because it's so small.
Yeah.
AA's got a lot going on.
Yeah. AA, Worcester Academy still kind of the front runner, and a few teams kind of behind them, but the star power in this class is kind of impressive to me.
Yes.
When you go through, and I'm sure you're going to rattle off some names here, but I think we're going to start off. I think the conversation should start with Worcester Academy and what they've been doing of late after kind of a slow start.
Yes. Yeah. It's been, what a season. Because I remember I was at Nickerson, and this team played an absolutely brutal schedule. First year coach Dan Sullivan, and they had lost a lot of games. I don't remember what their exact record was, but Nickerson, they should have beaten New Hampton, and they lost that game. And they played Tabor really tough, and they got another win. I forget who they beat, but they got a win in there. And almost every coach I talked to was like, Worcester Academy's legit. Even though they're losing these games, they're legit. And now they are just rattling off wins against still very good teams. They most recently, they beat Northfield Mount Herman, and they beat Newman, who are probably their chief competitors in Class AA. This is such a fun team. They shoot a ton of threes. They play really hard in transition. Elise McDonough, I am close to locking in this take as behind Christina Pham is probably the second best shooter in NEPSAC, and especially against NMH, she was just on one on the road too. She's a really fun guard who plays hard in addition to obviously being an elite perimeter shooter, going to St. Bonnie's. Ella Getz, versatile forward. I would say one of the biggest risers of the winter season in 2026 class. You got Sage Youngberg, you got Grayson Barnes, just a ton of great guard play. And again, like they just play a really fun brand of offense, and they play really, really hard for not being a big and physically imposing team. And I will credit Dan Sullivan a ton coming over from the boys' side to make this move to the girls' side and immediately have this level of success. I think people who watched them noticed early what they could be, and they are hitting it now for sure. And then behind them, Northfield Mount Herman's still really good. They are a really, really great defensive team. I think there are times where they struggle to put up points when they need to against some of these high-powered offenses, but they have enough different contributors that I'm still a believer. And they got a lot of experience, a lot of upperclassmen on that team, even though it's a lot of transfers. They've gelled well. And then Newman, again, for just popping up as a Class AA program, doing a really, really good job. Wilbraham and Munson, shout out Katerina Ravosa for 2,000 points. That's ridiculous. She's in the 2026 class too, so we might get up to 2,500 plus.
How many years is she?
I believe she started in middle school. It might have even been seventh grade. So she's got some extra years, but still
to get 2,000 before your senior year.
She's been straight up one of the most dominant players in NEPSAC this season. So shout out her. Wilbraham and Munson, again, they have these kind of rough patches at times because they're so young, but they have the talent on paper to, like, they're a title contender. I would consider them still. And then after that, I can pull up the standings too. Darrow's going to be a tough out. Marianapolis is going to be a tough out. Austin Prep, Fope Io, who is probably the top prospect in the 26 class. And I think a lot of people have waited for that prospect and the physical tools to translate to production. It's happening. We're seeing nightly 30 and 10 games, and it depends on the competition, but she's dominating in the way that I think a lot of people want to see her dominate. And so definitely, like, for that reason alone, and again, Austin Prep's got some other good prospects too, but definitely keep an eye on them. There'll be a lower seed more likely in AA, but yeah, just watch that. And I think AA only has 10 schools, but they are going to be it's a very competitive playoff race, and Worcester Academy currently has the lead, but I consider 4, maybe 5 teams to have a good shot at winning it all.
Yeah.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Hi, I'm Jamie Marcoux, AVP for Athletics at LaSalle University. We're proud to offer 15 NCAA Division III varsity sports teams. And last year, all of our varsity teams advanced to the conference playoffs. Our student athletes excel both on the field and in the classroom. LaSalle offers over 60 majors and minors and is located just 8 miles from Boston. With one of the most affordable private educations and housing ranked #1 in Massachusetts by niche, we're committed to providing an exceptional college experience. Visit lasalle.edu to learn more.
Yeah, it's top 8, right? To make the playoffs.
Yep,
right?
that's 8.
Yeah. Is there sort of do you place these teams in tiers right now? Like, obviously you have Worcester at the top. But
I would go Worcester. I'd go Worcester Academy as like a 1, and then I'd almost have 1A be like NMH, Newman, and Wilbraham and Munson, and then maybe Austin Prep like a step below that with the upside to move up. But yeah, again, just because they're so hot right now, I'd probably lean Worcester Academy. But yeah.
Are there any matchups coming up over the next few weeks? I'll put you on the spot with this. I'm not sure how privy you are to what these schedules look like with the seedings.
I got to look at Wilbraham and Munson's schedule. They have another good matchup. I forget who it's against, but a lot of them just got out of the way. Like Worcester Academy beating NMH and Newman was big. That was kind of I believe like the last super major test for them, and that's kind of be it. So there will be some, but I think I've been watching because shout out Aya Hart for being awesome. She puts out this NEPSAC Insider newsletter and it has weekly updates to the standings, and things haven't changed a whole lot over the weeks that I've watched. So I don't expect a whole ton to change dramatically with the seedings.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. And now let's move on down to Class A.
Yeah.
I know Loomis Chaffee, definitely still the favorite here.
Yep.
But I know you're really excited about Hotchkiss. We were just talking about them kind of off
Yes.
air.
Yeah.
What's this race looking like? What's Class A looking like right now?
Yeah. So I'll quickly touch on Loomis Chaffee. No surprise, heavy favorite. Even against Tilton in a loss that they led most of the way, they have one of the best defenses in NEPSAC period, and definitely Class A. Even the Tilton coach, Tara Burson, gave a lot of props for Loomis Chaffee. Their zone and kind of the way they run it and the commitment that all those players have to playing that zone defense is top notch. And they have a lot of size too. Alicia Mitchell, awesome. Catherine Chadwell in the game I watched is really awesome. And Abby Congdon too at point, just such a high motor player. She's going to Tufts. She is such a fun player to watch and just really frustrates a lot of the opposing guards. But Hotchkiss, I want to give them a little bit of a floor because I didn't know a lot about this team. I knew Kayla Richards, Bucknell commit. I knew Morgan Jenkins, good 2026 center going into the year. And they have both led a fantastic season. They have only one loss, and it was their season opener to Sacred Heart, another Class A contender, but first year under head coach Langston Ross, who second year at the school.
Okay.
But he is, I chatted with him recently, fascinating background. Rare, and this makes me feel a little better as someone who's a not really great athlete, or he could be a great athlete, but bottom line, he didn't play varsity basketball in high school or college. He is just a fan. He's from Detroit, grew up on the Bad Boy Pistons and some of those really, really great NBA defenses before that. Just loves the game, and he's a counselor at the school, and then the opportunity kind of came up for him to coach, and he, again, brought a lot of this defense first mindset into it, and I think he's really good at having these relationships with a lot of the players, I imagine, because of his counselor background. But like, really cool story, and this team is great. I was hesitant to put them in the top 10 because they had a pretty light schedule for a while, but some of the recent teams they've beaten, like Berkshire and Kent, are eye openers, and they're beating them convincingly. Their defense is legit. And again, the two stars I mentioned have been awesome. So Hotchkiss is number 9. I got to do the latest update. I think they're probably going to stay at 9, but they're really, really good. I would consider them the leading challenger to Loomis Chaffee.
Yeah. Have they played Loomis?
Not yet. No? That is a big one. That's a late February.
Ooh.
I think is it 28th?
February
20 something. I'm not going to because we got too much going on. But I will watch it. I'm sure there's a stream somewhere, and I will watch it. And then I put Sacred Heart and Kent in contention in Class A. Again, you got to knock out Loomis Chaffee somehow if you're going to win it all. But it's a little bit more competitive than I honestly thought it was going to be at the beginning of the year. So I'm excited to see some of those other schools.
Okay. Yeah. Any other kind of thoughts on Class A before we move down?
Not really. I want to save some time for Class B is insane.
Yeah.
So
Ethan sent me some notes on NEPSAC.
Yeah.
on before going into this pod, and Class B just says absolute chaos.
Correct.
It's a direct quote from Ethan right now. And we talk about just the chaos of, like, the other classes have some chaos going on too, but Class B seems like it's like on another level. It's
like, hold on, let me look at these schedules. Like, there are teams that are not going to make the playoffs in Class B that I think could win it all if they made it in.
It's insane.
It's crazy. I really think
talk about parity.
It's on, and it is the largest class. There are 28 competing schools in it, but I mean, Berkshire, this is just going off of, this is Monday, so this is probably a little bit out of date, but the latest kind of standings and rankings are Berkshire at 1, Suffield at 2, Greens Farms 3, Lawrence Academy 4, St. Luke's 5, St. George's 6, Rivers 7, Proctor 8. I really think
Rivers is 7.
Rivers is 7, and they were my preseason pick, and I still feel pretty good about them. And then you got teams like Beaver is really good. Ethel Walker has beaten some great teams. Greenwich Country Day is very good. Cushing just beat Wilbraham and Munson in Class AA, and they are 13. They're 13th in the standings. They're probably not going to make it.
Come on.
And that just speaks to how competitive and how really strong and deep Class B is overall. Just going back to some of the teams I mentioned. So Berkshire has been great all year long. They've had a couple blips recently, but that's a team that's totally blown me out of the water. I did not have them on my radar at all, but Pearl Dixon, 2027 6'4" center, I believe. Really intriguing prospect and player. Chloe Egan, to guard there, is very, very talented. I think a little bit underrated. Berkshire, just generally, they've also, some of their losses too, like they play Newman very tough in Class AA. They've played a lot of teams very tough. Hotchkiss, they played tough. So Berkshire, I like. Suffield, a lot of opposing coaches have really put me onto Suffield recently. I watched them in December, and they were solid. I believe they won that game, but they were super, super young, led by 2026 Sammy Santa Cruz. You got 2027, really interesting kind of hybrid wing player, Alana Bear. You got the Booth twins in the 28 class, and these are all players who are playing major minutes. And Charlotte Theriot, who just transferred in. I think she's 27. Really, really young team, but they're a 2 seed, and they're starting to stack some of these wins against really, really good teams. So Suffield is quickly climbing my radar. They play literally today as we record this, so we'll have to see the result. They play Loomis Chaffee today, and that, I mean, I expect Loomis Chaffee to win, but how competitive that game is will tell me a lot.
Where is that game being played?
I think it's at Loomis Chaffee. Okay. So I might be wrong, but big test. I just want to see how they fare. If that's a competitive result, that tells me a lot. Greens Farms, I've written about before, but they've been around a top 3 team in the rankings all season for Class B, and they're going to stay up there. They're really deep. They got a lot of talent. Lawrence Academy, I think I've kind of slept on a little bit, but they've been up there. St. Luke's has Cam Nelson, Syracuse commit. She and Olivia White alone are going to kind of keep them up there, but that's a good team. St. George's reigning champion, who have started to figure things out under first-year coach Angelina Marazzi. Rivers, we've talked about. That is, I mean, I'm giving so many quick hits on these teams, but really, like, I don't know what I'm going to do when we do the reaction pod. I have no idea who I'm going to pick to win this class.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
I mean, we still have like 2 weeks left and a lot of games to go to kind of, when we talk about like teams jockeying for those top 4 seeds to try to get a home playoff game, that feels like it's even more important in this class.
Absolutely.
Given like how close everyone is. Like there's not a huge separator from the top seed to
how close everyone
even
is
outside the playoffs.
How close everyone is, how far some of the travel might be. Like if you're St. George's and Lawrence Academy versus like Suffield and Berkshire and Greens Farms and Rivers back over in Eastern Mass. Yeah. And then even like some of these playoff spots I don't know how it's going to look. This is my first year watching the seedings play out. Like I've watched, when we talk about MIA, I've watched the power rankings, so I kind of know what teams can do in the last week or so. Yeah. I do not know what is possible to make up in a week or 2 of NEPSAC games. So
chaos,
we're going to
baby. Give me some chaos.
It's going to be crazy. I'm excited. That's what I'm most excited for in when we do the reaction pod, is me being stressed, trying to figure out how to pick a winner. So we'll see.
Because we're going to be doing predictions.
I want to.
Yeah. We'll throw out some brackets.
Yeah. I want to do it.
Let's have some fun with it.
And then I do a quick shout out to Class C, which we haven't covered a whole lot. And it, again, doesn't really have the depth of some of these other classes, but Kimball Union is awesome. Last I checked, they were 16-2. Only losses to Hamden Hall, the other Class C team I wanted to give a shout out to, and Tilton. They have beaten very, very good teams even above their class, and Hamden Hall too. They're awesome. Mackenzie Moore, main commit. Yeah, it's great. So just shout out them. A lot of great depth throughout all these classes. I think whether you're Class B and in these two Class C teams, you can beat a team that's in A or AA. Like that's what's been really fun about this season, is some of these interclass matchups are really fun. I can attest to that with boys too. Yeah, not to delve too much into them, but I mean, I saw Williston beat Bridgeton. I saw it's Cushing's go up and beat New Hampton Newman, and that makes it a little more fun, those interclass kind of those matchups. Yeah. Any other lingering thoughts as we head into the home stretch? Are there any particular matchups you're looking forward to? I know we talked about that Loomis game against Suffield, and that's probably the one that's most on my radar. A lot of these teams, and I am tentatively planning to go to Dexter versus Hoosac. Just as kind of a last, just as kind of a last check-in because I haven't watched either of those teams play in a little while, and I think they could make some noise in AAA, so I want to see that. That's kind of it, though. For matchups, I'm sure there are some I'm forgetting about. I have to look at the schedule, but a lot of it is just, and you kind of know this with how our schedule's playing out, is we're just taking a collective, like, buckle our seatbelts for the playoffs pretty much and just kind of hunkering down. I don't know how much we should reveal about our plan to cover this, but a lot of this is going to be, other than Super Sunday, it's going to be us in like our bunkers pretty much on NEPSAC Red Zone, watching streams because they all happen on the same day.
NEPSAC Red Zone.
Yeah.
Just getting all these streams up on, on a big TV.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's going to be fun. We have a lot of basketball to watch and hopefully some matchups that are at least close by that we can easily get to.
Yep.
It's hard. I mean, we're both based in Boston to get out to Connecticut and everything. And I mean, we'll be at the championships.
Yeah, we'll be there for Super Sunday.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Sounds good.
Exciting couple weeks coming up with NEPSAC boys and girls. Keep it locked here. We have MIAA previews coming up.
Yep.
Those brackets are going to be released this weekend. And then we'll get into NEPSAC, and we're just going to go back and forth basically over the next month. So keep it here, HoopWise Podcast, basketballjournal.com for all your content, analysis, and more. For producer Dave and Ethan, I am Steve Hewitt, and we'll catch you next time.